Eli Mercer stood in the docking bay, clutching a small metal case against his chest. The air was thick with noise, clanging metal, robotic voices, and the strange clicking language of alien traders. He had one task: deliver the encrypted data to the Terran ship Odyssey before midnight. Every second mattered, but as he pushed through the crowd, he realized something was wrong. Hundreds of ships were lined up, each bearing alien markings glowing softly under the dim lights. He could barely tell one from another. A blaring announcement echoed across the station. Final departure sequence initiated. Eli broke into a run. He reached a silver starship that matched the docking code scribbled on his wristpad, S-1704. Without hesitation, he stepped through the sliding doors. The air inside was cooler, perfumed with something floral and sharp. The door hissed shut behind him before he could even call out. He frowned. "Hello, crew of the Odyssey?" Silence answered. The corridors glowed faintly, curving in elegant shapes that didn't look human-made. The walls pulsed with soft light like veins carrying energy. His boots made almost no sound as he walked. "Anyone here?" He tried again, louder. No response. Then the ship lurched. The lights turned amber. Outside the narrow viewport, the docking bay vanished into a blur of stars. His stomach dropped. No. This can't be right." He rushed to the main door, but it had already sealed. A robotic voice spoke, calm and melodic. "Course set. Destination Vayari Dominion. Warp jump in progress." He froze. The Vayari Dominion was not human territory. It was a mysterious, matriarchal empire said to exist far beyond the mapped sectors. Eli slammed his palm on the door. "Cancel jump." "Wrong ship." The voice replied, "Identity confirmed. Access restricted. Please proceed to the audience chamber." The corridor lights brightened ahead, guiding him deeper inside. Every instinct told him to stay put, but he had no choice. The hum of the engines grew louder, vibrating through the walls. As he moved forward, he noticed murals along the corridor. Tall, elegant beings with glowing eyes and silver armor. All were female. In each carving, they stood around a figure who looked human. His exact face. Eli stopped breathing for a moment. What the hell? Soft footsteps echoed behind him. He turned sharply. 3 women emerged from the misty hallway. They were tall, taller than any human he had ever seen. Their skin shimmered faintly like light on water, and their eyes glowed a deep sapphire blue. Their long silver hair flowed over slender shoulders. They didn't speak at first. They just stared. Then as one, they dropped to their knees. Eli took a step back. "Wait, no, what are you doing?" The tallest among them, wearing intricate metallic bands on her arms, lowered her head. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "You have returned, my lord. The prophecy. It is true." "What prophecy?" he asked, confused. The women rose slowly. One of them, her gaze soft but filled with awe, whispered, "The chosen one has come back to lead us. The cycle ends with your arrival." He shook his head. "You've got the wrong guy." "I'm just—" Before he could finish, the ship's voice interrupted. "Biometric confirmation complete. Royal DNA sequence verified. Welcome aboard, Sovereign of the Vayari." Eli's breath caught. "Royal DNA? That's impossible." The 3 women exchanged looks of pure wonder. Then, to his shock, they each began to unfasten the shining armor over their shoulders. The metal plates fell softly to the floor, revealing swirling tattoos glowing faintly across their skin. Eli turned his face away, flustered. "What are you doing?" "This is the ritual of honor," said the leader softly. "We bear our forms in the presence of the returned king. It is our vow of loyalty." Eli's pulse raced. Every instinct screamed to find a way out, but the situation made no sense. He wasn't their king. He wasn't even supposed to be here. The ship rumbled as it entered faster than light speed, locking him inside with these mysterious alien women who believed he was their savior. As they bowed again, the leader looked up at him with reverence. "You have been gone for centuries, my lord. The stars remember your light. We have awaited your command." Eli tried to speak but found no words. The data chip in his hand felt suddenly irrelevant, meaningless. He looked around the glowing chamber. The murals. The eyes on him. The silent hum of alien energy surrounding everything. He realized something far greater was unfolding. He hadn't just stepped onto the wrong ship. He had walked straight into a legend that wasn't supposed to exist. Outside, the stars stretched endlessly, and the ship drifted deeper into uncharted space. Eli's reflection shimmered faintly in the glass, and for a terrifying second, he thought the man staring back wasn't entirely human anymore. The leader approached slowly and whispered, "Your destiny begins again, my lord." Eli took one shaky step backward, his voice barely above a whisper. "This is a mistake. It has to be." But deep inside, a strange warmth flickered in his chest, something that didn't feel like fear. It felt like something waking up, something ancient, and for the first time, Eli wondered if maybe they were not entirely wrong. Eli Mercer stood frozen in the glowing chamber, still trying to make sense of what had just happened. The three alien women were kneeling before him, their silver armor laid neatly at their sides, their bodies marked with strange glowing tattoos that pulsed in rhythm with the heartbeat of the ship. The air felt heavy, filled with warmth and electricity. Eli wanted to speak, but his voice caught somewhere in his throat. "I am not who you think I am," he finally managed to say. "I am just an engineer from Earth. I got on the wrong ship. Please, I just need to go back." The leader of the three women, taller than the others with long strands of silver hair falling past her shoulders, lifted her head slowly. Her blue eyes glowed brighter as she studied his face. "The Sovereign speaks in riddles again," she whispered. "Just as the old record said he would." Eli rubbed his forehead. "No, I'm not speaking in riddles. I'm telling you the truth." The woman stood, walking toward him with a grace that felt unnatural. Every step she took echoed softly in the chamber. "You carry the mark," she said, her voice calm and certain. "It shines within you. You were born of the old line." He wanted to laugh, but something about her tone made him hesitate. "Born of the old line? I don't even know what that means." "Look, I just need to find a way to contact the station. I'll explain everything." She stopped only inches from him. Her hand reached out slowly, stopping just short of touching his chest. "The line of the Empress," she said. "The last human to walk among us. She left behind her chosen one, and now, after 1,000 years, you stand here." Eli took a step back. "That's impossible." But even as he said it, the ship's gentle hum deepened. The lights along the walls brightened, forming swirling patterns like waves around him. Then from the ceiling, a soft beam of light descended and scanned his body from head to toe. "Royal sequence verified," the ship's voice said. "Activating right of honor." Eli's eyes widened. No, stop that. Cancel whatever that is." The women turned to face him again. Their glowing tattoos shimmered brighter, spreading across their arms and necks like veins of liquid light. The leader placed her hand over her heart. "We honor your return, my lord. The rite must begin." The walls began to shift. Panels opened, revealing rows of glowing stones arranged in perfect circles. The air filled with a low musical hum that resonated in Eli's chest. The women stood at equal points around him, their arms raised. "I don't want any ritual," Eli shouted, his heart pounding. But the sound of his voice was swallowed by the rising hum of energy. The stones lifted into the air and began spinning slowly. Lines of light connected them, forming a ring of golden energy around Eli. He felt warmth spreading through his body. The sensation wasn't painful, but it was strange, like someone was brushing against his thoughts. He tried to move, but his legs wouldn't obey. His heart raced faster. "What are you doing to me?" "Opening the path," the leader said. "You carry our future inside you. The ship remembers. The stars remember. I told you, you've got the wrong person." "The stars do not lie," she said softly. "Your essence awakened the Seraphis. No one else could have done that." Eli's mind spun. Seraphis. So that was the name of the ship. He looked around as light filled every corner of the chamber. The women's glowing markings began to pulse in perfect unison with the ship's hum. Their faces looked calm, even joyful. The energy around Eli rose higher, wrapping him in a soft golden mist. For a split second he saw something, an image flashing behind his eyes, a memory that wasn't his. He stood on a mountain of white stone beside a woman with silver eyes. She reached out to him, smiling, her hand warm against his face. "Promise me," she whispered. Then it was gone. Eli gasped and stumbled backward. The ritual lights faded slowly. The air fell still again. He felt dizzy, as if he had just woken from a vivid dream. "What was that?" he asked. The leader bowed her head. "Your memories return. The Empress said they would come back when you set foot upon her vessel." "I don't have memories like that," Eli said sharply. "I saw something, but it wasn't real." "I don't know that woman." The other two women exchanged quiet glances. One whispered, "He denies his past." Just as before, Eli's frustration grew. "You're not listening to me." He turned toward the exit, but as soon as he touched the door, it refused to open. The ship's voice spoke again. Destination locked. Arrival in 7 cycles. The chosen must complete the rite. Eli clenched his fists. I'm not your chosen, I just made a mistake. The leader approached him again, this time holding a silver sphere that glowed softly in her hand. If you wish to prove you are not him, she said quietly, then touch this. The sphere of lineage will reveal the truth. Eli hesitated, but there was no way out. He placed his hand on the sphere. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the orb pulsed once and exploded in bright light. The alien women gasped and fell to their knees. The ship's voice echoed louder this time. Confirmed. Royal bloodline. Active. Eli stumbled back, terrified. The sphere floated up and began to orbit him, radiating heat and light. No, he whispered. That's not possible. The leader bowed deeply, her voice trembling. Welcome home, Sovereign of the Vayari. Eli's pulse thundered in his ears. The ship hummed louder and the markings on the women's bodies flared like fire. The ritual was not over. Something inside him had awakened, and it was watching him now. He looked down at his own hands and saw faint golden lines glowing beneath his skin. His breath caught. What are you doing to me? The leader smiled faintly. Not us, my lord. It is you. The star within you has awakened. Eli stared at her in shock as the ship surged forward through the endless void. Somewhere deep in his chest, a strange rhythm began to beat, a second heartbeat that wasn't his own. And as the light faded, he realized that the wrong ship might have just become the most dangerous place in the galaxy. Eli Mercer woke to the low hum of the ship's engines. He did not remember falling asleep, but his body felt heavy, as if he had been floating in a dream. The air around him shimmered faintly. Every surface of the room seemed alive, pulsing softly with light. The alien ship, Seraphis, felt less like a machine and more like a living creature that was watching him. He sat up and looked around. The chamber he was in was no longer the glowing ritual hall. It was smaller, almost like a personal quarters. A faint scent of metal and flowers lingered in the air. The walls were marked with ancient carvings of stars and symbols. He touched one, and it glowed faintly beneath his fingers. Suddenly a voice spoke from nowhere. You are awake, my lord. Eli turned sharply. The tall alien woman, the same one who led the ritual, stood in the doorway. She wore a flowing robe of silver fabric that seemed to move like smoke. Her glowing tattoos were now dim, hidden beneath her sleeves. You fainted after the rite, she said gently. It is natural. The awakening has begun. Eli rubbed his temples. I told you, I'm not your king. I'm not anything special. She tilted her head slightly. You keep saying that, but the Seraphis disagrees. The ship responds to your thoughts. It has not done that for anyone since the Empress vanished. He frowned. Who was she? The woman stepped closer. The one who built this vessel. The one who bound our people to the stars. 1,000 years ago, she vanished after sending her chosen mate on a journey across the galaxies. We thought him lost forever. But now, she looked at him with awe. You return in his image, his blood, his soul. Eli stood up. No, I have no connection to her. My DNA might be similar, maybe some ancient match, but that doesn't make me him. She smiled faintly. Perhaps. But the stars rarely make mistakes. Before Eli could respond, the walls around him began to shift. The lights dimmed and a panel opened on the far side of the room. Inside it lay a glowing crystal sphere, large, smooth, and humming with energy. What is that? Eli asked. The memory core, she said softly. It holds the last records of the Empress. Only the Sovereign can access it. I'm not... Before he could finish, the sphere pulsed with light. It rose into the air and floated toward him, stopping just before his face. Eli stepped back, but the light reached out like tendrils and wrapped around his hands. His vision blurred. The room disappeared. He was standing somewhere else, a white city under twin suns. Towers of crystal reached toward the clouds, and in front of him stood a woman, tall, graceful, with silver eyes and long black hair that shimmered like the night sky. She smiled at him, her hand reaching toward his cheek. "You promised," she whispered. The sound of her voice pierced through him like music. He tried to speak, but no words came out. He felt her sadness, her love, and something deeper, something ancient. Then, in a flash, the city burned. The sky turned red. Screams echoed through the air. He saw warships falling from the sky and the Empress kneeling beside him, her face streaked with tears. "Forgive them," she said. "Forgive me." The vision shattered. Eli gasped and stumbled backward, the memory fading like smoke. He was back in the chamber, trembling. The alien woman caught his arm before he fell. "You saw her," she said quietly. He nodded weakly. I don't know what that was." "She reached for you through the core," the woman whispered. "The bond is not broken." Eli pulled away, breathing hard. "That wasn't me. That was someone else. I saw his memories, his life, but it wasn't mine." The woman looked at him with calm certainty. The blood remembers even when the mind denies. He turned away. His heart pounded as fragments of the vision lingered, her face, her voice, her promise. It felt too real to ignore. Before he could speak again, a loud alarm filled the chamber. The floor trembled. The walls turned red with warning lights. "What's happening?" Eli asked. The woman placed a hand on her ear, listening to the ship's voice. "An enemy fleet. Zyreth signatures approaching. They have tracked us through the void." "Who are they?" "The ones who destroyed the Empress's kingdom," she said grimly. "They believe your bloodline still holds power. They have hunted us for centuries." The ship shook again. Outside, through the viewport, flashes of light filled the dark. Dozens of sharp insect-like ships surrounded the Serapis, their weapons glowing. Eli grabbed the edge of a console to keep his balance. "Can't we hide? Warp away?" "The engines are charging," she said, "but we must defend ourselves. The crew awaits your command." He turned to her, stunned. "My command? You can't be serious." Her glowing eyes met his. "You are the sovereign. The Serapis will only obey your voice." Another explosion rattled the ship. The room dimmed. He could hear the distant sound of metal groaning under pressure. The woman handed him a small silver band. "Place this on your wrist. It will connect you to the ship's heart." Eli hesitated, but another blast shook the walls. He slipped the band onto his wrist. It tightened automatically, glowing faintly. Instantly, he felt a surge of warmth travel through his veins. The walls brightened, and his heartbeat synchronized with the ship's pulse. A deep voice filled his head, mechanical, yet alive. "Command link established." "Awaiting orders, Sovereign." Eli stared in disbelief. "No, this can't be real." But outside, the enemy fleet was charging weapons. He could see the energy spikes through the viewing screen. Without thinking, he shouted, "Shields, now!" The ship responded instantly. A burst of blue energy spread around the Serapis like a living shell. The attack struck, but the ship held. The console lit up with symbols he didn't recognize, yet somehow he understood them. His hands moved on their own, guiding the ship's weapons, maneuvering its course. The alien woman watched him with awe. "You remember," she whispered. "I don't," he said, his eyes fixed on the stars. "But something inside me does." The Serapis turned sharply and fired beams of golden light, tearing through the enemy ships. The battle raged across the void, light against darkness, echoes of an ancient war reborn. When it was over, silence filled the chamber. The remaining enemy ships retreated into the shadows. Eli stood there, breathing hard, staring at his hands. The ship's voice spoke softly. "Victory confirmed. Awaiting next command." Eli's pulse slowed. He looked toward the alien woman. "You said they destroyed your Empress," he whispered. "Then what do they want with me?" She met his gaze, her expression unreadable. "Because you are what she left behind," she said. "And if they cannot have you, they will destroy you." Eli felt a chill crawl down his spine. Outside, the stars looked colder than ever. Deep within the Seriphus, the ancient memory he had seen refused to fade. The Empress's words echoed in his mind like a whisper from time itself. "You promised." He did not know what promise he had broken, but one thing was certain now. Whatever destiny had pulled him onto this ship was not finished with him yet. The vastness of space stretched endlessly before the Seriphus. Its silver hull glimmered with faint energy veins as it drifted among the stars, the echoes of battle still pulsing through its structure. Eli Mercer stood on the bridge, his hands gripping the console, his mind racing faster than the ship's engines. The memory of what he had just done, the commands he had given, the fire he had unleashed felt impossible. He had never commanded anything in his life, yet the ship had listened, obeyed, fought. The tall alien woman stepped closer. Her name, he had learned, was Lirana, High Seer of the Veyari. Her expression was calm, but her eyes glowed faintly blue with exhaustion. "You led us to victory," she said quietly. "The Seriphus remembers you now." Eli shook his head. "I didn't lead anyone. I just tried not to die." Lirana's lips curved slightly. "Humility suits a ruler, but you cannot deny what you did. The ship's heart answers only to royal blood. Without you, we would have been dust among the stars." He turned away, staring at the infinite black outside the window. "You keep calling me your sovereign, but I'm not a king. I'm not even a soldier. I'm just a man who got on the wrong ship." She studied him in silence, then said softly, "There are no wrong doors when the stars themselves open them." The bridge lights flickered. The ship spoke in its serene voice. "Damage sustained in combat. Shields at 40%. Energy reserves critical," Eli sighed. "How long until we can jump again?" "Not long," said Lirana. "But the Zyrith swarm will regroup. They will return stronger. They never stop hunting royal blood." He turned sharply. "Then what do they want with me? If they think I'm this sovereign, why try to destroy me?" "Because your existence threatens them," she said. "If the bloodline returns, it means the prophecy of unity can still come true. They fear the rise of the old alliance between humans and Veyari." He frowned. "Alliance? Humans never even heard of you." "Not anymore," she whispered. "But once, long ago, your kind and ours shared the same sky." Before he could ask more, a new voice interrupted. "High Seer." Two armored guards entered the bridge, bowing deeply to Lirana before turning toward Eli. One of them, a younger woman with sharp golden eyes, spoke in a cold tone. "Forgive me, my lord, but the council demands your presence. They wish to speak to the returned sovereign directly." Eli exchanged a quick look with Lirana. "Council? They have waited centuries," she said carefully. "Some believe, some doubt. You will need to convince them of who you are." He gave a short, uneasy laugh. "Convince them? I can't even convince myself." Still, he followed them through the glowing corridors. The Seriphus hummed faintly beneath his feet, as if alive and aware of every step he took. The walls shimmered with alien art, spirals of stars, lines of light that seemed to move when he wasn't looking. Every curve of the ship seemed built to honor something ancient. Him, apparently. The council chamber was vast. 12 Veyari women stood in a circle, their armor polished and ornate. At their center hovered a crystal sphere, glowing with soft silver light. The air crackled faintly with energy as Eli entered. All eyes turned to him. Lirana bowed slightly. "My lords and ladies of the council, the sovereign stands before you." Whispers spread across the circle. One of them, a tall woman with crimson markings on her skin, stepped forward. "This is him? This human?" Eli raised his hands nervously. "Hi, yeah, I guess. Look, I know what this looks like, but there's been a mistake." The woman cut him off. "He carries the mark, yes. But the true sovereign would remember the oath. Ask him the first question." Another council member nodded. "What was the last command of the Empress before she vanished into the void?" Eli froze. The air felt thick. He remembered the vision, the burning city, her tearful face, her final words. They echoed in his mind like thunder. She said. He hesitated, then whispered, "Forgive them." The chamber fell silent. The counselors looked at each other, shock flickering across their faces. Lyrana's eyes widened slightly. "The first command," she whispered. The woman with crimson markings frowned.
"Impossible."
No one outside the bloodline could have known that. Eli stepped back, overwhelmed. "I don't know how I knew that." "I just saw it," the council murmured among themselves. Finally, the crimson-marked woman spoke again. "Then perhaps he is who he claims not to be. Still, we cannot rely on faith. The swarm is coming. We must act before they strike again." Suddenly, the chamber trembled. The lights flickered red. The ship's voice echoed overhead. "Multiple Xyrath signatures approaching. Distance 3,000 units. Estimated contact 5 minutes." Lyrana turned to Eli. "They've found us." He looked around, panic rising. "What do we do?" The crimson-marked woman stepped forward. "We fight, or we die." The council dissolved into motion, issuing rapid commands. Eli followed Lyrana back to the bridge. Outside the viewport, the stars were already shifting, the darkness filling with the red glimmer of enemy ships. Eli's pulse quickened. "How many?" "Too many," Lyrana said softly. "The swarm never comes alone." The Seraphis shuddered as energy flares streaked past. Eli gripped the console. "All right," he said, his voice steady now. "If this ship listens to me, then we're not going down without a fight." He closed his eyes, focusing on the rhythm in his chest, the strange, second heartbeat that pulsed with the Seraphis itself. The ship's systems flared to life, the glowing veins along its walls brightening like lightning. "Command recognized," said the ship's voice. Activating battle mode. The bridge transformed around him. Panels shifted. Holographic symbols hovered before him, moving faster than he could track, yet his mind understood them all. It was as if he had done this 1,000 times before. "Target the nearest formation," Eli ordered. Golden energy surged along the ship's hull, then exploded outward in brilliant arcs. Enemy ships shattered under the assault. The Seraphis weaved through the chaos with precision that felt alive. Every motion, every shot, perfect, but each attack drained power. The ship's hum faltered. Lyrana's voice broke through the noise. "Eli, the conduits can't hold much longer. The ship is feeding on us." He turned. The crew on the lower decks were kneeling, their glowing tattoos flickering weakly. They were linked to the ship, their energy flowing into its systems. Their lives were the price of his control. "Stop the link," he shouted. "You'll kill them." Lyrana's voice trembled. "If we break the link, the swarm will destroy us." He looked out the window. Hundreds of red lights filled the void. He could hear their weapons charging. His jaw tightened. "Then I'll end it myself." He reached for the console and pressed his hand against the glowing surface. The Seraphis reacted instantly. Energy exploded around the ship like a sun being born. The swarm scattered, caught in the shockwave. Then silence. The ship drifted in the glowing wreckage. Eli collapsed to his knees, breathless. Lyrana fell beside him, her hand gripping his arm. "You saved us," she whispered. He looked at her, his eyes hollow. "At what cost?" In the distance, alarms began again. The ship's voice spoke, quiet but certain. "Incoming signal. Identity unknown. Message reads, 'The true heir of the Veeri approaches.'" Lyrana's expression turned pale. "Another sovereign?" Eli stared into the darkness beyond the stars. "No," he said softly. "Something worse." The silence after the message felt heavier than the void itself. The bridge of the Seraphis was dark except for the soft pulse of red emergency lights. Eli Mercer stood near the viewport, watching the wreckage of the destroyed enemy fleet drift among the stars like glowing ash. His heart still beat in rhythm with the faint hum of the ship, but something in that pulse had changed. It felt weaker, unsteady. Lyrana stood beside him, her silver hair dim in the flickering light. Her voice was barely above a whisper. The message was clear. "The true heir of the Veeri is coming." Eli turned to her. "You told me I was the sovereign. Now there's another one?"
How is that possible?
Her gaze dropped. The Empress left more than one bloodline behind. It was hidden from most of us, but some of the council knew. "The heir they speak of is not human," he frowned. "Then who is it?" Lyrana hesitated. "The Empress's first creation, a hybrid born of her blood and machine. The child was designed to inherit her power if her chosen mate never returned. The prophecy said both lines could never exist at the same time." Eli stared at her in disbelief. "So if he comes, one must die." she said softly. The words hung between them, sharp as the stars outside. The ship suddenly trembled. A low hum spread through the metal floor, deep and familiar. The Seraphis spoke again, its voice strangely calm. Incoming vessel detected. Signature match Royal DNA. Distance 1,000 units and closing. Eli's pulse raced. He moved to the console, his fingers trembling over the controls. On the screen, a new ship appeared. Larger than the Seraphis, black as shadow, its surface covered in moving patterns like living armor. That ship, Lyrana whispered, is not Vayari. It is something else. As they watched, the strange vessel stopped a short distance away. A bright light shot from its center, cutting across space, striking the Seraphis's hull. The bridge shook violently, the air filled with a metallic taste. Transmission incoming, said the ship. Audio only. A voice came through, deep and smooth, like someone speaking from inside a storm. You are not meant to exist, human. The blood of the Empress belongs to me. Eli stepped closer to the console. Who are you? The voice laughed softly. I am the true heir, the one she created after you failed her. Eli's mind spun. Failed? I don't even know her. Your ignorance is your weakness, the voice replied. But her memories live in me. I remember her love for you, and her hatred when you abandoned her. Eli felt his stomach twist. That wasn't me. Yet her tears fell for your face, the voice said. Now I will finish what she could not. The transmission cut off. The enemy ship's weapons began to glow. Lyrana turned to Eli, panic breaking through her calm. He means to destroy you. If the prophecy is true, your existence threatens his. He cannot allow both of you to live, Eli clenched his fists. Then we fight. He reached for the control panel again, but this time the Seraphis did not respond. The lights dimmed, and the voice of the ship spoke slowly, almost with sorrow. Conflict between royal lines is forbidden. Systems locked. I will not allow this war. Eli slammed his hand on the console. You can't just stop. He'll kill us! I serve the will of the Empress, the ship replied. And her final command was peace. Lyrana stepped closer, her eyes wide. Eli, there is another way.